Okay, a little bit of progress. She's got fenders on the rear now. Those are like little model kits all in themselves. All that photo etch brass. Another reason that it says basic modeling skills, I don't know, I've done some photo etch brass. In fact, I've done a lot of it, but mostly in like 1/32 and 1/24 scale aircraft, you know, like instrument panels and dive brakes and stuff like that. This stuff is considerably thicker. Now I had to bend the outside there, and there is no bend line. You know, I brought home a set of parallels from the Bridgeport, a set of 12-inch parallels, and clamped them together, and that's what I used to make the bend, and it still is a little wavy in some spots. That would have been nice to have a box and pan brake for that. I also started putting on the center caps. They're taped in place right now. I got them on with Zap Goo because I want to be able to take them off if I need to. And in the rear, like I said, I know the track links are upside down, but if I hadn't told you, I wonder how many people would have noticed. It's still kind of tight on this side for the clearance of the tow cable when I get around to putting it on. But there was just no way the exhaust was going to clear, and I would have still had this same tow cable interference with them turned the other way and sitting up higher. Still got a JB weld down the fenders on both sides, but they're bent and ready to go. And of course there's going to be a lot more paint work to come. This is just a base coat of, it's actually Africa mustard. It's the Model Master spray rattle can stuff. And then I go over this, I use this as a base and then airbrush the tank. Because the airbrush I can, you know, get in close and not have to worry about messing stuff up too much. I'm not the best airbrush artist in the world, but I'm good. I'm sorry, but I'm pretty good. So that's where we're at with the Hetzer right now. I got the tow cable around here somewhere. That's still got a little paint work to do. And like I said, there's still lots and lots to go. But I think with the fender on, it doesn't look as nose heavy as it did. It still is nose heavy. And I don't know, I'm still considering swapping the suspensions from front to rear. Because I know that the rear suspension has got more, I don't know how to say it, it's got like a more bend in the leaf spring. It's the swing arms sit lower. So I know if I swap them, it'll sit higher in the front. But I don't know, we'll see. Still got to raise the return rollers. That's next. This is what it looks like with the tow cable attached. I still got a little bit of touch-up. You can see a little touch-up paint on there. I turned this black with gun blue. It just, for some reason, it didn't get at the end right there. It might be because that's where I super glued it in. That might have had something to do with it. But anyway, the tow cable is kind of like super glued together because it's so springy, you know. Once I got it in place and everything where I wanted it, I put a little thin CA on there and let it harden, and you can see that it fits all right. I think that's about it for the rear end. The exhaust all goes on the upper hull, so that's pretty much wrapped up in the back there now. You can see that I have installed the center caps, and again we'll have to repaint, you know, which is not a big deal. Oh, I also moved the return rollers. I moved them up by 3/8 of an inch, and I think that's a lot better than the way it was before. Well, only time will tell, but like I said, I think it's going to work out pretty good. Okay, when I left for work this morning, I meant to take an extra piece of stock with me just in case I broke a tap, and I forgot the stock, so sure enough, I broke a tap. So I've still got to remake this bar right here. It's got a broken tap right in there, and I'm not even going to bother trying to take it out. I'll just cut a new piece of bar. Fortunately, I did it on the first side. If I'd already had one hole in the other end, it would have been worse. But anyway, this is going to be the frame for the paintball cannon. And I'm going to mount it right in here. I'm going to start by just putting it in place with some JB weld. And then I'm going to come all in between, and I'm going to fill that in with they call it kitty hair or tiger hair. It's basically Bondo that's impregnated with fiberglass strands. So the frame will go in there like that, and the paintball gun will go through it like so. The reason I haven't drilled the holes yet for the trunnion is because I want to get the trunnion made and get everything in place so that I can determine the height that I want the trunnion to sit at. So the way it's going to work is that the cannon sticks through the frame like that. The trunnion, you can see a post here and a post here. The trunnion will have posts here and here, okay? And it'll basically be a piece of stock with a round post on each end to fit into the holes, and then there'll be a hole drilled through the middle of that with a set screw from the top and a set screw from the bottom. So when I put this through the 18mm hole in the trunnion and lock it in place with the set screws, it'll be attached to this inner frame, okay? Now the trunnion, having the posts, that's going to allow the elevation. The trunnion will tilt back and forth like that, and then the whole inner frame swings from side to side to give traverse, okay? So I'm still not sure how I'm going to, hook up the servos and all that, but for right now, I'm just kind of getting it mocked up and set in place, and it's going to sit right about there. I want it as close to the front hole as I can get it. I don't know. We'll just have to see. And that's why I haven't drilled the holes for the trunnion yet, because I have to figure out exactly where in there I want that gun to sit. I'm thinking it's probably going to sit right about there. So the trunnion will actually be a little bit towards the bottom instead of like right exactly in the middle, which is okay. I made the frame like that on purpose so that I could, adjust later. And then once everything is in place, if I ever want to take the paintball cannon out, all I have to do is just remove these two bolts, and then this top bar will lift off, and then the entire inner frame will lift right out with the paintball gun still attached. So that's where we're at. I got to take this one piece in tomorrow, and I got to cut a new piece. This is the stuff that used to be one of those hooks for hanging potted plants. It's just 5/16 soft steel flat bar, but everything is bolted together. You can see that I drilled through and put counter bores in here so that the socket head cap screw would sit down in there. This piece is drilled and tapped to accept the cap screw so that everything fits together into a nice square frame that will hold the paintball cannon securely. I don't think that 5/16 steel is going to bend very easy. And once everything is completely in place, like I said, I'll JB weld it in and let that get hard, and then I'll come all around this frame and I'll fill in, I might even use some fiberglass cloth. It's hard to say. I'm also thinking about drilling some holes in this bottom rail just so that the JB weld and the fiberglass can get into the holes and give extra grip. Maybe some kind of gusset on here, like a piece of triangle on each side for extra support. That stuff will all come later, and most of it will get put in with either 5-minute epoxy or JB weld, and we'll see how it works out. But that's where we're at. And if the servos show up, now if I can get this frame completed tomorrow, it shouldn't be any problem. If the servos show up by Friday, I should be able to get the entire paintball system installed over the weekend. And then the only thing I'll still have to come up with is the line. When this is all in place, I'm going to have a line that goes from here to the paintball gun. And this little one isn't going to do it. This is for the Spider paintball gun. But there's a local place that makes these lines for aircraft. And I've already talked to them. It's no problem. They said all I need to do is tell them what kind of fitting I got on each end and how long I want it. And they'll do it out of braided steel, so it'll be flexible. So it'll be able to move with the paintball cannon. There won't be a lot of movement to it when it's going up and down. But back and forth, it'll have to have a little bit of play in there. And the straps for the bottle are supposed to be here tomorrow. I just ordered some of those Velcro tie-down straps, and I'm just going to take a piece of styrene, about yay big, a rectangle of styrene, and put the straps through the styrene so that I can, hold the bottle in, and then the whole piece of styrene will just get glued right to the inside of the tank right there. So the bottle will sit right about there. The gun's going to sit, pretty much about like so, and I think it's going to be good to go. I think that, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I've already got the transmitter and the camera for the FPV. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do there. I've got to get a 5-volt power supply to that. I think I can power it off of the Sabertooth. It's got an additional power supply at 5 volts. If not, one of my gurus sent me a couple of these step downs that are adjustable. I can feed it in. I can feed in the 7.4 volts and then bring it down to 5. And I might use that also for servos. I might power my servos separately instead of just running them off receiver power. We'll have to see how it goes. So that's where we are, and we'll see you next time.